what is needed to be the eyes and ears of the industry. I'm very happy to have Sam Chambers in our thing to shed a light on the trends and the insights within the maritime industry. Hi, Sam. Welcome on our vodcast.
Thanks very much for having me.
Good. Great to have you in. We recently met at the Geneva Dry. I know that you are publishing already a lot of insights and trends, what is happening in the maritime industry. But I also learned that you are a good organizer of big parties. It was really an awesome event. How did that all come about?
Well, I mean, the organizers of Geneva Dry have been in this space for, I guess, around about a quarter of a century each. And we're very, very aware of the fact that there are way too many maritime events. You know, on Christmas Day, you could probably attend the opening of 5 or 6 envelopes of some shipping bash somewhere. But when it came to dry bulk, which is the largest shipping segment by some distance, there wasn't a single global event. And so, you know, Geneva as the chartering center pretty much of the world, we decided, well, hold on, you know, for container shipping, there's a global event. For gas shipping, there's a global event. For cruise shipping, there's a global event. Let's just put one on and bring every part of the dry bulk supply chain to Geneva from around the world. And the message got across fantastically. And I mean, we were just gobsmacked with how many people loved it and flew into Geneva. So onwards and upwards, April 28 and 29 next year, we'll be back.
Yeah, that's very nice, very good. I will be joining that party as well. But other than that, you're also running the Splash 24/7 tagline. You must be an ambitious person to put 24/7 into your tagline, into your name. Are you always on top of the news? How do you manage that?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. We founded Splash in 2015. And it was a lady working for us in Singapore who came up with the idea of the name for Splash. We had been thinking for ages and ages for what would be a good name. And she said, what about Splash? And she kind of said it kind of like not very confidently. I thought, whoa, Splash, that would work. But then, of course, you know, you go to GoDaddy or whatever to get the website address, and splash.com was taken, splashnews.com was taken, but Splash 24/7 wasn't. So, I mean, we refer to it as Splash, but naturally the web domain has to be 24/7. And yeah, we are. I mean, we are. We've got a rolling network of correspondents around the world. So it starts in Australia, moves to Asia, moves to Europe, moves to America, and then comes back again. So, and you know, the nature of shipping, unfortunately, for someone who likes to have a weekend off, is you know, it's not really possible. I mean, this past weekend, my weekend was interrupted because of a big oil spill in Singapore and the evacuation of 2 ships in the Red Sea. But that's the nature of shipping for you.
Yeah, I get that. And so it's an ambitious goal or an ambitious target that you set out. If you look at your personal ambitions, what are the things that brought you to the industry and that you are keeping you pushing you forward in that industry?
I think I'm like many people that just sort of fell into it by sheer chance. I was a freelance journalist in the year 2000, and some of the freelance work that I got was shipping related. And making ends meet as a freelance journalist wasn't especially easy. And a full-time position came up within a big shipping media organization, the Informer Group, and for some crazy reason, they decided to employ me despite my sort of lack of knowledge of all things shipping. But that's 24 years ago. And then since then, I've worked for many other shipping titles. And I mean, what I always say about the industry and our work is that every day we get up, we find new sources of information, new stories, and learn something new every day. And we're interested, and we and the day that changes is the day that we need to change job. But every day I find something new, and I find something interesting, and something that I didn't know beforehand.
Yeah, I really can relate to that, and I think that's also, if I think about what tech player, what we are doing, we really see like there is a lot of decisions need to be made in that decision into this maritime industry. And what you need is information to be on top of it. You need to have the inputs either on the market, but also in the operation part on what is happening towards vessels in that part. And yeah, we've been bundling that information, and I see, if I look at what you are doing, you are bundling information in different senses as well, right? On the one hand, you are aggregating the news or collecting the news from all over the world with your reporters everywhere, kind of at the news channel, as I would say. And on the other hand, getting people physically together. I really like that. But maybe it's also good to deep dive a bit more about the industry, because you've been in it for 24 years. I've been now more 12 years in the industry. Can really relate to the fact that you really need to understand the industry to make sense out of it in that part. If we look at the geopolitical situation at this point in time, what are your reflections on that? How did it impact shipping, and what are the main topics that come to light for you or jump out for you?
So I think, for so many years, for decades and decades, supply and demand estimates of what the fortunes of shipping would be were pretty simple. X number of ships are being built this year, and the Chinese GDP is going to grow X. It was very, very simple. In the 2020s, it's all gone. So many extra kinks and curves into any projections, whether it was the pandemic to begin with, the closing off of the Red Sea, the drought in the Panama Canal, the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. All of these things are soaking up extra tonnage. And so any projection that you make, any forecast you make, is always now with way more caveats than have ever been before. So, people saying, well, I don't know, container shipping will make $50 billion this year, so long as the Red Sea remains closed. There are so many extra problems in the supply chain that have to be factored in that we've never experienced all at the same time as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting as well. If you look, there is risk has been added to more risk has been brought to the table, I would say. What is your opinion or your view on how this risk is the industry sufficiently aware of the risks that are currently at the table, or the extras that are there? Are they dealing with it, and at what level are they dealing with it? What is your take on that one?
I would say that is a very, very mixed picture. I would say that pretty much everyone is aware of the risk, but not everyone is willing to forego some profits to look after their seafarers, and that there are far too many people who put profit over their employees. And so, if I was a ship owner, I would be questioning why should I be sending my ships past the Houthis in Yemen? Should I be transporting Russian oil, etc., etc.? There's so many things that are very profitable, but morally questionable.
Questionable, yeah. And that is, of course, one side of the equation. But if we look at the maritime industry, it's about making money. It's about being operational excellence. Those risks that are kicking in with examples of the COVID and the drought kind of things. Do you feel that the industry is preparing itself in a better way to use that type of information to get the decision making on a higher level?
Totally. And I think that was shipping is incredibly malleable and flexible and nimble, actually, despite often being, people castigate it for being very conservative and old-fashioned. Well, actually, if you look what it's had to deal with in the 2020s and how smoothly it has been able to deliver goods around the world, despite all the problems heaped its way, it's hugely impressive. And in recent years, that has definitely been made simpler by the use of technology.
So you see the industry as really a resilient industry already in that sense.
I see it as it has had to be resilient, and it has shown that it is. This decade it really has.
Yeah, of course, it might change something like the assets will stay basically. I think that is one of the key things. There might be people who place a very make a bad bet and are taken out of business, but the assets stay, and the goods keep on moving in that sense. And yeah, I think it links a bit back then again, like towards the technology and the transparency, the digital era we have entered. More sensors, more data, people using it. When I was at the conference, it also struck my mind, like it still feels like there are two groups of people. You've got people who are still very much towards the people side of things and the relationship business, and that is what needs to happen. And I can have information, but it will remain a people business, and technology will not take over. On the other end, we've got the technology enthusiasts who are stepping into this game. What is your take on that? How do you see that? Is it one or the other, or is it a bit of both? What is your take on that one, especially based on the interesting discussions I was watching the conference?
I think, it's an industry that is very much relationship driven, very much people to people deal wise driven. But tech will give those making the deals confirmation of their gut feel that they've never had before. And it is a happy medium between the two, in that I think if you are in shipping, you have to acknowledge that the industry is getting a lot more transparent when it comes to pricing and actually every facet of operations. So you have to acknowledge and adopt that while still realizing that this is very much a relationship-driven sector and will remain so. So it's a happy medium.
Yeah, and the role of the data. How do you see that? Do you see developments in that? Is it being used more? What is your?
Well, I think we're still in early days of people really genuinely working how to harness the data, and we're still in this period where it's exploding, and you have so much that you have to hack through. So the holy grail of making data actionable, we're long way from that, but it is something that the industry is desperate for. But we're not there yet.
And the industry is desperate for that. How does that translate, or how do you witness that?
Just by talking to people, whenever I go to any conference or exhibition, it's a topic that just keeps on coming up. It's something that people keep asking me. They say, look, Sam, our days are spent increasingly, we're having to cope with so much more data inputs from such wide sources. And yes, we can see the value, but the amount of resources and time we're spending, as I say, hacking through all this, there must be something that's going to come along and streamline every single process. For talking to the industry as a whole, I don't see that there is, as an industry as a whole, anywhere near that being solved in the next few years.
Despite of AI?
Despite of AI, I think, AI is going to change a lot of the processes for sure, but I just don't think that we know exactly how to manage all of this into one seamless and easy to understand, easy to handle process. I think that's still quite some way away.
Yeah. Do you feel like there is going to be ever a one process that is going to do it? Because if I look and reflect back on what my learnings are, I've learned like every vessel is different, every terminal is different, every port has different legislation. Then we've got a different goods on the vessel, let alone the trade or the company that is actually running the business. So I'm a kind of in this questioning phase. Like, is there one single process?
And the honest answer is no, there's not. And probably you might argue that shipping wouldn't want there to be one, because that's sort of how this industry makes money, is because it's so fragmented. So it's if everyone had the same access to the same viewpoint, then it would lack the volatility that creates the incredible profits that can happen within shipping.
Yeah, I guess it boils down to it's a supply derived market or demand derived market, basically shipping. So it will always boil down to what is the market information that you need, because that will be the goods that needs to be transported, right? On the operational efficiency,
yes, I was just going to say that within different segments of shipping, the access to data is a lot better for some parts of it than for other parts. So I don't know, for container shipping, you could say that the access is far better than for people charged with shipping zinc or, a minor bulk. Access to information and data really does vary between the different segments.
Yeah, I was looking at the container report, the CPPI report, where they're actually measuring the performance of every terminal worldwide globally. I think that is a completely different level than if you move towards dry bulk kind of performance metrics.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Good. I think one of the articles I read as well on the website was, and I really like that one, that quote, because it is by Robert Coase, the famous economist. It's like, if you torture data long enough, it will confess to anything. And I think that is for me the other angle towards data. You really need to be careful in you might find things that you are looking for, right?
Yes, I agree. I mean, I think there's a huge market for a sort of a dragon's den of shipping freight platforms to all be put on a stage together and to be grilled about genuine ROI of their, of what they're offering. And we it's still so opaque, all of these platforms competing against each other, and who is actually delivering the goods, to be totally honest.
Yeah, that is also something I really can relate to. It is the fact you can talk to many people in the industry, but who is actually the final one pulling the strings? Who is the one who is paying? And there are a lot of people who are saying that they do have a significant part in it, but in the end, it is actually the goods that are moving, and what does it bring bottom line towards that transaction, right?
Yes, correct, absolutely. But I guess the one good thing in the last 2 years, I think, and I think shipping as a whole welcomes it, has been the consolidation within the maritime tech space, and it's something that's carrying on. But I mean, it's been dramatic and it's been needed, because that takes away a little bit of the confusion. And I think ship owners, ship operators, and ship managers have been crying out for consolidation within the maritime tech sector for years, and now it's happening. And so the flip side, of course, is less competition means that prices for certain platforms have shot up in the last few months. But, that's the trade-off.
Yeah. What are the main consolidations that you have seen in the tech sector?
Well, I mean, there's so many, but I mean, I guess, the two ones that really, that jump out is what Vison Nautical are up to, the brands that they've taken on, and then what Kepler have also done. I mean, they're the two that have really absorbed some very big famous brands with a view to saying, look, we can now offer a complete view of the shipping supply chain. And I think for the end user, that is something that has been wanted for a long, long time.
Yeah, I think getting rid of the spreadsheets and all the different emails and that kind of stuff, that is something that is really hurting the industry, and how to get visibility in that part. Cool.
Yes, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, maybe a bit on my background. When I entered 12 years ago, I do have a background really into open source and technology and open data, even in that sense, making sure that there is, it's better for the greater good, so to see. And I was really, really optimistic when I entered the industry, like we can make a significant change in the industry if we have that data, if we do have that technology. If we can come up with this collaborative kind of technologies that will help to do the processes. But yeah, what really took me back, or what surprised me the most, was the fact that market adoption. I think we talked about that one, and that it is really changing within the industry. But the other real challenge I see is actually the change within the industry, change management, how to adapt to new technologies and get people on the floor actually using that information, and not step back and start using their own hunch on what is happening, or their old tools or their old spreadsheets, and moving towards that. Any reflections on that part that you have witnessed in the...
Absolutely. I mean, again, this is something that came up in Geneva a lot, is the siloed mentality of shipping organizations. You've got a crewing department, a chartering department, an operations department, whatever, all of these departments. And it's very rare that they talk amongst themselves. And until you have been able to smash down the siloed mentality of shipping, you're going to struggle to get the returns that you want from adopting tech.
Yeah, I really can relate to that. Cool, Sam. Thank you very much for having this conversation. For me, it was really enlightening to have a chat about the market and your view and what you see. Appreciate it sharing that to the audience, and looking forward towards the next event, or the next time where we can meet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.